You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your...
There's something in the air, a dream of life in love, with minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the farce revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. This is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts, from close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, feeling all the hearts, united now in you and me. The secret is wherever, the secret is whenever, the secret is together we are.
Well, good morning. Welcome to CSL St. George, our Sunday service. We're so glad that you are spending part of your Sunday with us on this beautiful St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. So that's how we've never done it. This is March's theme. So tell us a little bit, if you've not joined us before, about us. We are an open, loving, and inclusive community supporting thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. So our purpose is to love, teach, guide, and support a spiritual community in creating and living a life they love using science of mind and spirit principles and practices. Our vision, we are a community-focused center actively living, sharing, and nurturing its members and friends so that we all may live our best lives. So our service team today, we have Marina Anderson behind the scenes, making this all work beautifully. My name is Gwen Hadley. I'll be hosting today's service and also doing the reading. We have our talented Alan Stanley doing our music. We have Bill Smith, our practitioner, who will provide our invocation. And then special welcome back. We have Reverend Savana Noelle. She's not been with us for a couple of years, so it was so good to see her. We always have a little meet and greet for the team in the morning, and so it was nice to touch base and see what she's been up to. So with that, I would love to introduce Stanley.
Well, hello. How are you, Gwen? Good to see everybody. I got more green than I can handle. Morning, everybody. We're going to start off with the song, sing along if you'd like to, and then we'll get through halfway or so, and Bill will come in and offer our invocation. And when he's done, then we'll come back and sing a little bit more. So sit back and relax. Welcome. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
Welcome and happy St. Patrick's Day, St. George. Please join me in affirmative prayer. So as we open this Sunday celebration, we do so in the presence of the one almighty power, the power that creates and the power that sustains. And I know that I am one with this power. I know that this power courses through every muscle and vein in my body at all times. And just as I know this for myself, as we are all one, I know that for everyone within the power of my voice, who may be watching this presentation 5 days from now, 10 days from now, 10 years from now, I know that that is true for every one of us. So I know that today's service is a blessing. I know that the word that Savana, Reverend Savana brings is enlightening and opens the hearts, particularly as we start to talk about the way we've never done it before, which can also always bring in fear and trepidation. And I know that Reverend Savannah's words create that growth in faith that's necessary to reach out and do different things and be different people and expand and grow. And I know that Alan's music is just perfect for opening hearts and allowing each and every one of us to feel the message and grow from it. So I know that this service today feeds each and every one of us in exactly the way that we were looking for. So I just let it be so, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. And I know this voice of love, it is singing through my life. It is all I am, every part of me. It is all I choose to be. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
So my reading today, thank you, Alan, is from this month's Science of Mind magazine. And it's Personal Affirmations, one of my favorites every month. It's written by our friend Eugene Holden. It's entitled, That's How We've Never Done It. Have a new thought. Every moment is an opportunity to experience life differently. Doing the same things in the same ways demonstrate an attachment to the way it's always been done. But now is the time for something new. Now is the time to have a new thought. See a new way As human beings, we have the ability to look at our lives to see what's working and what's not. We have the power to change our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors so that we can make empowering decisions. Speak your good. With the gift of choice, you can choose the good in all in life. Here's the deal. When we look for the good, we see the good. When we speak only good, good is what we experience. Stay awake. Being alive in our spiritual magnificence makes it nearly impossible to go back to sleep, even if we want to. Stay awake to who you are because the world needs you. I am awake in the spirit of the one. There is only one life. That life is God. I am that life now, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you. I had done this song for a while. I ran across it the other day. I thought, whoa, because I need to remember to love myself. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me, nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I am. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. If I feel the love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So I tell the world of peace on earth that only love can bring, and I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. The change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I am. And I love myself just the way I am. Yes, I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am.
Thank you, Alan. What a cheerful,
Thank you.
hopeful song. Thank you. So it's my pleasure, as I stated before, that's how we've never done it before, is March's title. And this week is Tell Me Something Good. It's my pleasure to welcome back Reverend Noelle. I think she comes by way of Washington. So good morning, Reverend Noelle.
Hi.
Was that right? Was that Washington?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Seattle. Okay.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you. I'll take it away. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to be with you. Before I dive in, I just want to take a deep breath. So take a deep breath with me. It is a good day. It is a sunny day, and us Seattleites love our sun because it is a rare thing all of these winter months. And I have to say, I haven't seen all of you in a very long time. I think, as they were saying before, it's been a few years, and I'm just really grateful that Reverend Joe invited me back here, and let's dive in. So, as always, I tend to deliver a message and inspiration that speaks to me for whatever's happening usually in my world, and hopefully is relevant to you as well. And today is all about tell me something good. We teach that good is everywhere, and we know this, right? And yet we often find ourselves trying to figure out life, to figure things out with our rational brains. We think that if we have some form of control and power over the thing, then we will create some sense of safety and the outcome will become more easily available to us, right? And I think sometimes leaning into the unknown and the discomfort feels counterintuitive because we want to hold on for dear life. But life is always inviting us and calling us back to listening to that inner guidance, that inner voice that comes through stillness. It comes through a deeper trust with life. And so I want us to consider just for a moment, just think to yourself how resilient you are. Let us just consider today how far we've come. I know for me, I think about the last 4 years, and I'm at this point now in this moment of asking a bigger question of how am I showing up to my life right now? How am I showing up to my health, to my career? How am I showing up to work, to family? Like really doing some inventory after all that we've been through over this entire interesting pandemic time. You know, the pandemic interestingly had us questioning the very boundaries and identities that I feel like we have set in place, you know, where the cost of ambiguous loss was so great for so many of us that our brains actually couldn't comprehend what was going on. So it forced us into questions like, who am I? What am I doing? Right? And so it triggered this prolonged uncertainty. And it wasn't this isn't that we weren't sure of what was going to happen, of when it was going to end, but we just aren't sure about not being sure. That's how it felt, right? And so the pandemic, like the COVID stuff kept coming and then going. 1 minute it's gone, then the next minute it's here again. And so the notion, I think, of what we were experiencing is this collapse of the boundaries that we had set in place. So on one hand, we are different identities. Like I'm a therapist, I'm a podcaster, I'm a mother, I'm a friend, I am a wife, I am an engineer, I am fill in the blank, and I haven't even left my chair in front of my Zoom camera, right? In my sweatpants. That's what our realities were for so long, right? It's like, where's morning? Where's night? And we are spatially oriented. We are physical people. And what I find very interesting now about this time is that, you know, it didn't dawn on me that before that we create rituals in every area of our lives. You know, we change our clothes when we go work out. We change our clothes when we go to a dinner. We orient around the thing that we're meant to do out in the world, right? And so there's this discomfort of what is actually going on. There's this ambiguous loss on top of all of that with no spontaneity. We lost our plans. We lost our sporting events. There was death for many of us. There were people who were physically gone. And for me, I know there was this languishing that started to happen. It's like you're not depressed, but things are like lifeless. Things are stuck. So the question becomes, where is meaning? Where is purpose? Where is joy? There's this space that we call liminality that exists, where these unknowns are then filtering into every area of our relationships. And this is why I think so many of them fell apart during the last 4 years, during the pandemic. And so we're questioning the very existence of what we're here for. And so how are we showing up to life? How are we showing up to each other? I think that especially now, how we relate to others and the world at large is begging us to rethink this me, mine, individualistic idea of a higher power, of God, of our ability to affect consciousness and outcomes solely by our thought alone. And so I want to challenge us to think beyond consciousness is cause. We teach that consciousness is cause. But if we were to explore what Reverend Dr. Jim Lockhart talks about, consciousness cause plus. What I mean by that is that there are things in the world that do happen that I feel are out of our control, that are acausal. The way that we in this teaching have come to understand cause and effect is that what is outpicturing is based on our consciousness and thought alone. And the way that we viewed God, a higher power, as this operational way in our lives is from cause and effect. And I think he is onto something in that. I think it's something so much more. He wrote this, Dr. Jim Lockhart wrote this beautiful 5-part blog in New Thought. And he talks about shifting our understanding of God and broadening our concept to include myth and quantum physics, and the notion that scientists are now discovering that some things in our lives are acausal. They happen without cause. So ponder this for a moment. It would help us really to understand why some difficult things happen in our lives, why the hard things happen. And I don't want to make this whole talk about quantum physics or entanglement or the definitions of God. But if you are interested in his blog, it's really fantastic. And I would be happy to pass it along. But what I'm suggesting here is that the very act of showing up to our life supposes that there is an opposite, not showing up. To show up to life supposes that there is reason and purpose and meaning in our showing up. Otherwise, we would be complacent and stuck and stagnant, and of course, death would result, right? And so because of the nature of life, the twists, the turns, the curveballs, the losses, the re-identifications with who we are and what the next phase of our life is about, the very act of showing up takes courage. It takes resilience. It takes a willingness. So we ask questions like, can I allow more into my life? Can I take up more space? Because I really want to engage in the things of my life because I want an outcome, right? We want to know how it's going to turn out. This is the part where we want to figure things out. And I think that some of us, if you're familiar with the kingdoms of consciousness, we stay in the by me stage of consciousness, where I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do everything I can to force, and my will is going to force this thing to happen. I'm going to make the law work for me by controlling conditions to make things happen. We think that the outcome will determine success and value and worthiness and lovability and meaning. But what I'm finding is that as long as our questions are future-oriented, nothing wrong with wanting to plan for the future, but as long as we are all future-oriented, we're not living in the now. We're not showing up to exactly what is in front of us. And so the outcome doesn't determine those things. The outcome, I feel, is just more information on the path of which way do I want to go and where do I want to put my attention. But as humans, we want certainty, right? I want to know what's next. I want to know that things are going to be easy, and I want them to be figured out, but they aren't yet. I think about the last 2 years of my life. I was talking to the folks in the green room before we went live, and I was talking about how, the last few years have really stretched me in huge, huge ways. We want to leap and step into our purpose and our passions and finally say no to that job that isn't aligned for us, or to a friend who overshares, or we want to finally say no to the unavailable person in our life, or have that hard conversation with someone that we're afraid to have. We want to finally say no because we mean no. We want to finally pursue the dream and have a figured out plan, at least some idea of a plan for the future. And we want to know that it's going to work out in a certain way. We want to know that when we leap, the net is going to appear, don't we? That when I jump out of that plane, the parachute is going to open. But here's the thing. You don't get the net without the courageous leap. I think it's through the act of bravery and becoming something that you've never been that actually creates the outcome. So the evidence is of yourself. It's the evidence of yourself and something you've never been. It's about the becoming is actually what we're looking for. And I would say that it's that gap space that many of us have been living in over the last few years, where I think to myself, I don't know where I'm going. I don't even have a map. It's pretty dark in there sometimes. I don't even know where the net is or what the what fully is yet. But I say to myself, and I invite you to, wait, can I trust myself to come to the edge? Can I trust myself to do and say something differently? Wait, can I trust my own wisdom and intuition and that new skill that I'm cultivating? Can I trust myself to be adventurous and curious? And if you couple all of these things with humility and the willingness to take trusted feedback from your friends, from your supporters, from people in your life who love and want more for you and from you, then you start to take the next steps. You start to take the aligned steps. And life starts to alter around your aligned trust. I know this because it's what's happening in my life. And I call these people my soul crew. They're my God squad. They're the people that want the highest and the best for me. And these are the people that show me and help me remember who I am when I'm unable to see that for myself. You know, I think I'm learning to become more curious because we want to stay curious. So instead of seeking from having to have the answer to the thing, we've got to ask better questions like, what is possible? What might be possible? How do I want to show up in these areas of my life? So we're looking at the world then through the question. So there's the stopping the seeking of certainty and just looking at it from the framework of possibilities. We step fully into the knowledge that we have in this moment, and then we trust that more answers are going to appear. We trust that we have to build that foundation of that inner trust and knowing. For me, I know it's been quite the journey of a process of trusting myself. One of the most profound, biggest ways I think that that's shown up personally for me was last August. I was asked to give a keynote talk at the Big Sky retreat in Big Sky, Montana. And I had 9 months to prepare this keynote, which was quite fitting, right? And they asked me to do an hour and 45-minute presentation, which is the longest talk I think I've ever given. And then another 45-minute panel, and then another 45-minute talk. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of content. And as we got closer, I realized that I had 8 pages of notes that I had written. That was probably some of the most vulnerable content to date that I wanted to share publicly about my experiences within the New Thought world, as well as the first time that I had shared something that I knew quite possibly would be criticized and potentially disparage the organization. And so for days leading up to this, I was super anxious. I've never been so anxious for any kind of sermon or talk in my life. But the thing is that I had written this material seamlessly. It just poured out of me, 8 pages of it. It felt like it was the thing that needed to be said, but it was not popular opinion in my head. And so as we neared in my hotel room, I called my mom because, moms always know the best things to say in those moments. And she said to me, Savannah, if you can just show up and just do your thing, maybe one person will be impacted and then you will have done your job. And after I got off the phone with her, I thought, yeah, this is true. Like, just show up and do my thing. You're not going to please everybody. Not everyone's going to be happy with what you have to say. But I found that all of this self-doubt started to creep in. What if I make people angry? What if I fail at this? What if it doesn't land? I think that was the biggest question. What if it doesn't land and it's humiliating? But then the question came back of, but what if it does? What if it's the thing that has to be said? I have never been so scared to give a talk in my life. And then all of this imposter syndrome came in, right? We have these experiences of, why am I the one doing this keynote? Why did they choose me? I'm not going to be talking about rainbows and butterflies and unicorns in this talk. But the miracle and the breakthrough that happened is I got up, I did my thing, and everyone dropped in. It was like you could just feel the whole room fall into their heart space. And what transpired blew my mind. People were like right here. They were on every word. And then all of a sudden, people in the audience start crying. And I get people standing up and sharing some of the most vulnerable things about their dreams. Because I had asked the question, what is the dream that is in your heart that you're afraid of pursuing and that you continue to sabotage? And so all these people in the audience started to stand up and publicly state their dreams out loud in front of everyone, telling me how they could relate to my story. And it was so powerful. I don't even think I knew how powerful it was until it was over. And all I did was give it away. All I did was show up, because at that point I had nothing to lose. I had no attachments. I was already feeling, like it might not work out. But I had to let go of some ego. I mean, it was a very profound experience. And I find that oftentimes we make excuses. We make excuses as to why we should show up to life. I'm tired. Show up anyway. This isn't perfect yet. Show up anyway. I'm not sure people are going to like what I have to say. Show up anyway. Because the thing is I had to realize that we're not doing it for people to like it. Reverend David Alt, dear colleague and friend, said once to me years ago, he said, your gifts are not yours. They are meant to be given away. You're doing it to transform yourself. And in the discomfort of that, you are being seen. And so we show up anyway, even in the mess, even when we can't see the good that's coming in. Because the thing is we don't know, just like my mom said, you don't know what you're showing up in the mess is going to provide or bring to someone else, or how it's going to help someone else. And so the lesson in all of that, other than the obvious for me, was that some of the most powerful, vulnerable things I've ever said were those things that I was most afraid to say, the most vulnerable. And of course, I'm not going to stand up in front of people and bleed all over them, right? But it means that we speak from the truest place that we can. If your life is hard, we show up anyway. I'm afraid. We show up anyway. I don't know how to do it. We show up anyway. What are my next steps? I've been asking this. What are my next steps? We see where we aren't showing up and we just are like, I'm going to do this differently. Normally, I would run away from this thing, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to get into the arena of my life. I'm going to show myself my resilience and my strength. This really is the opportunity. How do we create success and abundance and possibility? If we want to step more fully into our purpose, we do it the same way we do it with love. I want to launch this business or this class, but it's not perfect. It isn't finished yet. We show up anyway. We do it anyway. We go another step and then we take another step. I'm reminded of one of my favorite people on the planet, Brené Brown, who wrote in Rising Strong, her book, Rising Strong, She talks about that quote by Roosevelt, who said, "The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." I love it. So at the end of that hour and 45-minute presentation, there was this woman in the back of the room. And I think she was probably in her mid-70s. And I had found out earlier that she was an Olympian, a former Olympian. And I gave her the mic at one point because she wanted to share her dream. And she said, "I have always had the dream of doing what you're doing." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "I want to speak on stage like you do, but I'm so scared to do it." And there was something brewing. You know, you get this internal intuitive hit that you have to do the thing. And I went off my usual script and I thought, well, I'm just going to trust myself here. And I walked right through the crowd of people in the back of the room and I grabbed her hand and I pulled her up to the front of the room. And everyone started to clap. And she was so nervous and so scared. And I looked at her and I said, "Okay, here you go." And I put my hands on her and I said, "I'm not going to leave. I'm right here. You don't have to do this alone." And all of a sudden, she just started to speak. And it was like effortless. And I started slowly moving away and cinching away so that it gave her the opportunity to fully be seen and fully show up to her dream of what she wanted to do. It was such a beautiful, powerful moment simply because she showed up. She took the leap for herself. One of the last things I want to share here is something that I think stands in the way of all of this, which is our resistance. It's our ambivalence and our resistance to it. Our resistance to having the thing that we want to have in our experience. Our resistance to the good that might be possible, that wants to come in, of doing it differently, of looking at things in a different way. And something that I'm starting to understand through experience in life is that when we allow dynamics and relationships in our life to exist that are not in integrity with what we want, we're basically saying that we can't get what we want. So, for example, if you tolerate people who are unsure, unavailable, uncertain about you, wishy-washy, then you are unsure, unavailable, uncertain, and wishy-washy. If you entertain business contracts that are unclear, they are not aligned with what you truly want, they are vague, then you, somewhere within you, are unclear, not aligned with what you truly want. If you entertain relationships that are hot and cold, then you are hot and cold about what you desire. So if we were to just step back for a moment and think about the ambivalence in every area of our life, if you, again, take inventory, if you're wishy-washy about your passion and your purpose, then you are basically saying you don't trust your choice. You don't trust that you can have it or that you even deserve it. And if you don't trust your ability to say no around a job or a relationship or a contract or whatever it is to that thing, then you're not going to be able to trust your yes when it shows up for you, because your no doesn't come from an embodied place. Your yes has to come from this integrated, embodied place. So when we tolerate ambivalence, then we are complicit in the ambivalence. And something that I'm on the journey of learning is to not tolerate that anymore. Do we have our own backs when faced with ambivalence? Do you trust your no when you don't feel aligned with something? When something shows up in your life and you're like, I don't think so. That's a no. Because we want our no to be so clear that our yes shows up from an embodied place. And yet we are willing so many times to compromise ourselves to keep something, which means we are abandoning ourselves, which means we cannot trust what a full embodied yes is. So it's taking that lower paying job and settling because you don't think you deserve more or that you can have more. Or you're always listening. I know I'm guilty of this, of listening to what everyone else wants, or showing up only because of someone else, then it isn't an embodied yes. It's saying yes when you mean no, which is a whole other class of boundaries, right? And so if we think about this in terms of liberation and freedom, there's no such thing as one liberation. If you are liberated, then the others are too. And so it means that we have a moment, not even a moment, I guess you could say our whole lives are about being honest with ourselves. Through not sharing the truth with other people and staying in our ambivalence or in our misalignment with the thing we actually say we want, we don't allow others to build and learn what they need to. Love is telling the truth. And sometimes it means we have to tell really hard truths. I've been reading this book lately called Wintering: The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. And what I love about this book is that it invites the reader into the cyclical nature of life, to see life as nonlinear. So there are times of great productivity and praise and movement and harvest. And there are also times of fallow, quiet, inward, and reflective. It's that, fertile soil of the darkness where we're resting and we're listening, most especially when life knocks us down. We see this happening in organizations, the flux of the ups and the downs. We see it right now in the tech world, right? And the political scene. We see it in nature with the animals, of course, in hibernation. And our farmers certainly understand it. But I think culturally, we have trouble with making room for the fallow times. We can still show up in those times, but we might show up as the observer or as the witness of our experience. There is something we are meant to learn and to understand. So in those times, it's about less doing and more being. Showing up means being in the arena of life. It means vulnerability. It means moving beyond our comfort zone of who and thought we even were. There's this saying my yogis will appreciate out there called, getting on your mat is half the battle. So you just get on the mat. You just get out of bed. You just show up to the day and you intend the day that you want to have. You go to sleep with thoughts of what went well that day and what you're grateful for. And we take the baby step. We take that one step and we ask the universe, what is my right and intended perfect step for my becoming? If you want to write a book, you just start the book. If you want to launch a podcast, you launch the podcast. You just call the agent. You make the cup of coffee or tea in the morning. You call the friend who can support you. Or maybe you just take a deep cleansing breath and you say to yourself, it's all going to be okay. It already is okay. For me right now, it's this opportunity to not only showing up to the next thing in the day and to notice when the good things are coming in, when the good is showing up in my life, then when we notice those things, they expand, right? But it's also about giving myself grace when I don't know how, or I don't know the next thing, and I don't know the whys or the whats, because really it's not my job to fill that in, right? That is where we lean into intuition, universe, some people call it God, spirit, energy, whatever it is for you. Because life knows how to do life. Can we show up to the thing that we're committed to? And maybe it's simply, I'm going to show up to this thing that I don't want to do hour by hour, and I'm going to continue to intend the right thing that feeds my spirit. I'm going to wash the dishes with joy and intention. I'm going to be present to my family and the amazing food and dinner we just created here. I'm going to be fully there with my partner and enjoy their company. I'm going to see this as an opportunity to know my yes that much deeper and know the depths of this uncertain dark gap that I know darkness so well. And I've integrated the deepest compassion and gentleness with myself that I know in the truest sense. That's the place then we can speak from, because it's all whole. It's all wholeness. That is where we begin. The power of showing up means we touch parts of ourselves that we may not have known were possible, because we are leaping into becoming more. And what is on the other side of that isn't really our business. We just have to walk the path and claim our good. Walk the path and claim our good. Walk the path, claim our abundance. Walk the path, claim our truth. Claim the realest, truest thing we can. It's that whole biblical verse of walking by faith, not by sight. Woody Allen, I think, said it best. He said 80%, it's probably more than that, but he said 80% of success is showing up. So how do you want to show up to every area of your life today? How much good can we actually hold? I invite you to consider and ponder that. What will be your choice? And so with that, let us go into a closing prayer. So just closing the eyes if you feel comfortable, and taking that deep breath in. Just giving thanks for the wisdom, the inspiration, the words, the music, the way in which all of this experience this morning came together. We hold within our hearts that pearl of wisdom, that jewel, that thing that transformed us in this moment, reminding us that we are more powerful than we know, reminding us that we are connected to something far greater than our rational minds can comprehend. It is the power, the presence of life, of pure intelligence. It is wisdom, it is intuition, it is beauty and love. It is grace. It is a peacefulness, and I call it goodness, I call it God, I call it life. It is the power and the presence of everything there is. And that power and that presence is living and breathing and moving through each and every one of us this day. It is our action, it is our thoughts, it is our beingness. It is in the ways in which we show up to life at every moment, in every twist and turn. It is in the valleys, it is in the mountains, it is in the highest peak. And so we call it back into a remembrance now. We just remember the truth about who we are, most especially when we feel like giving up, or we feel like we're in the dark, or we feel like we don't know. We remind ourselves that there is something that is guiding and directing and transforming us now. Focusing our attention on the right and perfect thing, the right and perfect next intended step of our becoming. Knowing that it is filled with opportunity and resources and people and abundance. Claiming our opulence, claiming our good. Claiming the right and perfect people to show us perhaps a new way, asking bigger and higher questions for our lives of what is absolutely possible in this moment. And so we turn our attention to that, to the good, to the becoming, to stepping out and taking the leap, even though we don't know how or when or why the net will appear, but we know that we must take the courageous leap in order for it to become manifest. And so I know for each and every one of us that we are guided by that beautiful life, that individual spark that lives within each and every one of us, claiming our good right here and now. And so releasing any sense of self-doubt, fear, separation, any sense of lack, and allowing abundance and goodness to flow into our lives this day. I call it so good. I bless us. I bless this day. And I know that all is truly well. And together, let us just say, and so it is. Amen. And Ashe. Thank you, everyone.
Oh my gosh, you have my head just reeling. So much to think about. Taking that leap, that giant leap without fear. I think that's one of the things that I work on most. But I appreciate you sharing the book, the blog, and I intend on later on this afternoon listening to you again. So
you.
thank you. Do you have a few minutes to join us afterwards for a Zoom conversation?
Yeah, I do.
Perfect. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow, what a wonderful talk. Ooh. So back to business, some announcements. Prayer requests you can see on the screen, the website. Our practitioners are willing, more than willing, are happy to pray with you, for you, whatever you need. Our next in-person service will be April the 14th at the Masonic Lodge. Afterwards, it's also our annual meeting, so we hope that you can join us for a few minutes afterwards for some business. And again, as I said, Reverend Noelle will join us, Savannah Noelle, for our Zoom conversation at noon. You can see the details in our newsletter and on the website. So we bathed in abundant prosperity. We're grateful for all the support. There's many ways you can support us. You can give by Zelle, which is a bank-to-bank easy transfer system. You can give online. The PayPal link is there, or the QR code can be scanned. And of course, checks by mail are always appreciated. No matter how you give, we are grateful. So upcoming Sundays, we have Reverend Joe back next week. Now, new, what's next? And then when we have an extra Sunday in the month, we invite our practitioners to come in. We never know what they're going to do, but they're always plugged in. So please join us for that on March the 31st. Now, Marina's going to bring us all back so that we can do our closing affirmation. And here we are. I invite you to say this aloud with us. I think it has more power when we speak it aloud together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it, I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is becoming.
Thank
Thank
you. Guys.
Woo!
Thank
All
you.
right.
Everybody,
Thank you again for being here, Reverend Savannah.
Yeah, I loved it.
it was
No, it
wonderful, wonderful, powerful.
We'll
I hope
see
to
you
see all
on
of you in the Zoom.
Okay.
in 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
All right. Have a great Sunday.
Bye, everyone.